Herbert Dennard Show. It's the Herbert Dennard Show.
Welcome to the Herbert Dennard Show. We have with us Joi Jones, a pharmacist, a writer, and she just published a book, Diets Are Dead. Win Small with MEDS. 7 habits to make you weight conscious, live healthy, and be active. What's this book about?
So basically what you just said, we are smashing the theory that we need to get on diets and we need a healthy lifestyle. So I have listed out a blueprint of 7 habits that I think are going to get you where you need to be, as far as if you want to lose weight or if you just want to be healthy, if you want to get fit and just live a healthier lifestyle.
What are the 7 habits to make you weight conscious and live healthy and to be active?
Okay, the 7 habits in this book that I'm discussing are based off of the catchphrase, Win Small with Meds. And MEDS is an acronym that stands for, it's a powerful statement that says, I am mentally mindful, an educated eater, dedicated to doing it with the right strategic support. So we break down those habits under each one of those letters. So under the mental component, it's basically about self-care and learning to take care of self and getting your head in the game, basically. So under the eating component, we have to learn to cook our food, and we also have to learn to be responsible with taking our lunch to work and doing healthy snacks. The dedication comes in. First of all, you have to be dedicated to working out. You're going to have to work out. You have to be dedicated to working out at home when your regular workouts don't always fit into your routine schedule. And you also have to be, for the support, you have to pick the right people in your life to share this with when you get started. And then you also need people to help you along the way. So if you're not a good eater, you need help. If you don't know where to start with working out, you see people like me. I teach fitness classes. And you need motivators in your life to encourage you. So in general, that's it. It's a lot more to it, but that's a little bullet point breakdown for you.
Okay, tell me, a fat guy like me,
Goodness.
that has been up and been down.
Mm-hmm.
Right now I'm up.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying I should cook my own meals.
Not all of them.
A lot of them. Why is that?
You should learn to cook, because if you eat out all the time, there's so much stuff like sodium in the food, all kind of stuff, processed food that's not good for you. I'm not saying it's bad to eat out in general, but just not every meal. So if you learn to routinely cook your food, you will be eating healthier than eating out. And plus, when you cook, you can have leftovers for that lunch that I say you got to take your lunch. It doesn't make sense to eat out every day for lunch at work. I mean, you're just going to work. This is something you need to do. You need to be prepared and take your lunch with you if you can. If you got a lunch date, that's fine. I have a Wednesday lunch date every week. I'm not saying you can't go to lunch dates or do business lunches, but in general, you need to be incorporating cooking somewhere. You don't need to eat out every meal.
Are there certain foods that we should not eat, in your opinion, according to your book?
No. In my book, I actually talk about you should not put an X on any food, because it's going to make you want that food even more. But what you should do is be conscious of what foods are not the best for you. And I talk about in the book, it's a reward system. That's how we're winning small. So if you're doing the things that I talk about in the book, if you're cooking, if you're exercising, taking self-care seriously, then at the end of the week or the middle of the week, you can reward yourself with whatever the food that I'm sure you're thinking of that's probably bad. For me, it's hot wings. That's what I love. So
I love them too.
Yeah, I love hot wings. So for me, for my reward, what I did, because I was pretty drastic when I started because I wanted to lose weight. So I did cook, and I did not eat out. My Wednesday lunch day, yes, I ate out. But all week I cooked. I did what I was supposed to do. But on Friday night or Saturday night, guaranteed I was going to the wing spot.
Okay. What about certain foods? Like people say that baked potatoes and sour cream and butter is fattening. You kind of lay off that?
Now for me, yes, because you really don't need all of that stuff. For the baked potato, you can get a sweet potato. It's just as good, you know.
You have this sour cream and all this butter in that potato, you know, and it just...
Well, I mean, you can have that every now and then, but in general, you can pick substitutions. For instance, I'll give you another example, a personal example for me. I love spaghetti. That is one of my favorite meals. It's easy to whip up. It's delicious. And in the book, I do talk about finding ways to substitute some of your favorites. So instead of having pasta noodles with my spaghetti, I cut up zucchini and squash, onions, mushrooms, and bake them on a sheet pan, and that serves as my noodles. I've also done asparagus in the oven, roasted, and put the spaghetti sauce on there because I know when I cook spaghetti, I'm going to want to eat it more than once. So I cook my spaghetti, and then I have it for lunch a couple of days a week, and it's a healthier option, and I love it. I still cook noodles for my family because they haven't necessarily gotten on board with the spaghetti portion, but mostly everything else I cook, they love it. My family loves the new cooking that I do. So
the collard greens and the fried chicken.
I still eat it for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and even on Sundays when we go to places that serve that, but not every Sunday.
So you give an outline in your book on some of the things you should eat and you shouldn't eat?
I do. It's a blueprint on pretty
Blueprint.
much. Outline, blueprint, that's just my verbiage. But no, it's not a correction. It's just a verbiage I like to use. I do have a blueprint for every area that on all of these habits. And also talk about why diets are not good for you. In the beginning, I talk about why winning small is the right method to approach when you're accomplishing any goal. So you never want to take, I want to lose 50 pounds and just take on everything that encompasses that. You got to take baby steps toward it. And while you're taking those baby steps, you need to celebrate every time you get a win. Like if you were a hot wing person 2 or 3 nights a week and you went 1 night a week, that's celebration time. Okay, I cut back. If you like to eat chocolate 2 or 3 times a day, every day, and you ate it once a day, that's still good. So you got to celebrate the wins. But yes, it's a blueprint for the mental process to get you going. There's a blueprint for learning to cook, learning to love going to the grocery store, making it, people think that healthy eating is very expensive. I hear that a lot. But in here I talk about how you can eat healthy without spending a whole ton of money. You don't have to, as I say in the book, make your own salad dressing with 10 different ingredients. You can make substitutions. There are healthy options out there, because if you try to approach a healthier living lifestyle, it's so much content out there. If you try to approach every little thing you hear and follow every drastic person who's doing it, it's such a narrow, you can only do this, you can only do that, you can only do that. We're not made like that, most people. Now, if you're training, you want to do a fitness show or something like that, go for it. But most of us just want to, put on our Sunday dress and go to church and look nice. When we go on vacation, we want to look nice in our swimsuit. So this is who this book is for. This is not an extremist at all. I'm not shoving down this just crazy stuff down your throat. This is your everyday girl or male that wants to live a healthier lifestyle and just needs a little help getting it going, just a little direction.
What about, you got those Michelle Obama arms.
Ooh.
So tell me this. How do you do that? Do you mention exercise in this book? And
I do mention exercise in the book. Yes, that dedication portion is dedicated to exercise, dedication to working out at home, as I stated before, and dedication to working around any barriers that pop up. So a lot of barriers that come up when it comes to exercise is basically people don't feel like doing it. Okay, so we got to get disciplined, and also people state the kids' activities or their community responsibilities. So we got a lot of workarounds. I'm gonna get back to the exercise, but I really want to say this because this is a big reason that I try to promote to black women in particular, because we are slaves to our hairstyles, and I talk a lot about that. Other barriers as well, but I just want to point that one out because black women, I do teach a fitness class, getting back to fitness. I teach 2 classes a week, and when in my class, not to say that African American people do not work out, but in my class, for instance, this past Wednesday, there was not an African American woman in my class, and there were 12 people in the class. So black women tend to want to look good, and I challenge you in the book to find ways around it. For instance, today I have this ponytail, which is my method, one of the methods that I use after I get my hair done. Tomorrow I'll go to the beauty shop, get my hair done. I'll look nice tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday when I go to work. Monday night I hit the gym back. So I work out Friday before I go. I just take Saturday and Sunday off. That's just my method. Okay. But the arms, I do teach fitness classes. I teach a barbell weight class. It's called Body Pump. I teach that class once a week, but I also take another colleague's class, which is the same. It's just from a different instructor. I take that Mondays, and then I also take it Friday morning, or I teach it to myself at home. So about 3 times a week I do weights, and then I do cardio about 3 times a week as well.
Do you get on the elliptical machine?
I do not, but that's just because that's not in my workout regimen. But I wholeheartedly support any type of cardio. I'm not opposed to any type of cardio: walking, running, jogging, ellipticals, treadmills. Bicycles are good for people with injuries. But in the book, I talk a lot about finding what works for you. Swimming, yes. Even the flexibility classes are recommended. We all need flexibility. The yogas, the bar class, well, bar is more of a strength, but the yoga at our gym, it's called Body Flow, but it's a flexibility class. The RPM cycling classes, spin classes is known to most people, but getting on a bike and pedaling, those type of classes, any of that cardio.
Now, if somebody wants this book, can you publish it? Can you obtain it from Barnes and Nobles, or do you do it directly from the publisher?
Okay, right now I did self-publish my book, so it is available on my website, which is prescriptionfitnesslady.com. That is RX. That's for prescription, fitnesslady.com. It is also available on Amazon right now.
Okay, and so are you going around, you signing books and you doing all that kind of stuff?
I am. Every single book that has been sold from my website has been personally signed, a little note, and I am having a book signing coming up, and I'll have a second book signing coming up at the end of August. But if one would come to one of those book signings, I will be signing those books if they would like.
Do you have the date for the end of August?
August 31st, that's Saturday.
August 31st, yes. That Saturday, where?
It's going to be at Touchdown Seafood Bar and Grill.
That's a good place to gain some weight.
It's a good way for me to showcase that I am telling the truth in this book when I say that you can do pretty much anything you want. The first book signing is going to be at my gym where I teach in my space, in my group fitness room. We're going to have on athletic wear. We're going to have a good time. I'm going to pump them up. It's going to be like a pep rally. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. The second one is to prove the point that, hey, even though I took you into the gym, I'm showing you that I'm still going out here to Touchdown Seafood Bar and Grill, and I'm going to enjoy myself, and you should too. You work hard, you play hard.
Somebody told me once that you can't exercise enough to get rid of a chocolate cake.
You cannot out-exercise your diet. You cannot. You simply cannot. And see, that's a problem with some of the people you see in the gym, which probably would have been my problem, which is how I inched up, because I am a collegiate sports athlete. So I played basketball, had the high metabolism. You know, when I was younger, you think you can eat whatever you want, and you carry that into adulthood. And if you keep on doing that, it's eventually going to catch up to you. And one day I looked in the mirror and it caught up. Even though I was going to the gym, working out is easier for me, but I had to get the diet under control. So the book talks about all the aspects. I think I'm the right person to help people or to coach people, so to speak, because I do have experience. I have been through it myself. I know that this stuff will work. I know you can do it. And I'm going to help any way I can.
And you're a pharmacist?
I am a pharmacist. I have been for 13 years.
Where did you go to school?
I went to Fort Valley State undergrad, and then I went to South University in Savannah, and I have been practicing retail pharmacy at one company my entire career. I am proud to say that.
Okay, so you're a church member.
I do. I am a member of one church my entire life as well.
What's the name of the
New
church?
Pleasant Grove Missionary Baptist Church, pastored by Pastor Richard Robinson.
Okay. How can I get this book? You said go to your website.
Yes, you can order it from my website. If you would like for me to sign it, it is available on Amazon as well. But my website again is rxfitnesslady.com.
Sounds like a winner. I believe we're going to do something. I'll tell you
I
what
hope
I'm going to
so.
do. I'm going to buy one.
Okay, thank
I'm
you.
going to buy one, and I look forward to reading it because I am up and down.
I can't wait to get your feedback.
Right, and I want to look at it and read it, and we're going to see what happens. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
And you tell Roberta Jones,
yes.
Jones, and Tim Jones that you've been on the show.
Okay.
We're all church members.
Okay.
And all friends.
Okay.
And you have a sister that just
graduated law school. Her name is
Mercer.
Amber, right here in Mercer, at Mercer in Macon. Yes.
A great family.
Well, I appreciate you saying so. I think so as well.
Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you.
And we'll be right back. Good day and welcome back to the Herbert Dennard Show. I have with us Pastor Richard Robertson of New Pleasant Grove. Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
You've been pastor in New Pleasant Grove for 1 year now, is that correct?
Yes, actually Sunday, the first Sunday in August, will actually be 1 year that I've been pastoring.
And tell us something about you. How did you get involved in the ministry?
Well, it spans all the way back from when I was a little boy in South Florida. My grandmother we used to go to church with her, and from there on, and during the summers, she'll have us go out and say, "Get out there on the back porch, and y'all do something." And our doing something was having church. We will play church, and my cousins would get all of my cousins and sister would get so mad at me because I'd be back there playing church and making them sing in the choir. And so from there, something was starting. And over the years, life happens. And the older I got, the more closer I got to God and to my calling.
Tell us, I heard you preach at New Pleasant Grove once. You talked about your son.
Mm-hmm.
Had an illness or something, and God delivered.
Yes.
Could you tell us about that?
4 years ago, my wife, at this doctor's office, at her doctor's visit, the doctor explained to her that our son, the arteries on his heart was crossed, and instead of him, he was not receiving oxygen, and so what was keeping him alive was the umbilical cord. But they told us soon as he's born, they're going to have to do open heart surgery. I was floored. I could not understand how. I could not understand why this could happen to someone like myself and my wife, who is at the time who was over the music ministry, who was singing and directing the choir. I was preaching, traveling all over the place, and I'm like, God, how can you give us a hand like this? And so from sitting down with my pastor, talking with him, he said one thing that really helped me. And I told him, I said, Pastor, I don't understand why God would give us a hand, would deal us a hand like this in life. And he looked at me, he said, why not you? And I thought about that thing. I was like, wow. All the preaching, all the praying, all the telling people that God is a healer, God is this, God is that. It was now my turn to put into action what I've been preaching. And so after I got myself together, because I wanted to quit, I wanted to just throw in the towel and just give up, because I could not see the light at the end of this long tunnel. This is my only boy, my first son. I just could not fathom a child having to have to go through open heart surgery. It wasn't until I got myself together and we started praying. The church connected with us, and the church prayed for us. And the day that he was born, it was through C-section. When they brought him up and put him in my hands, he was 100% fine. Looked like a normal baby. Pigmentation was perfect. But Brother Dennard, it took seconds for what looked good to turn bad. He started to turn blue. And I've never seen a baby turn blue like that before. They took him away from me, showed him to my wife, and I cut the umbilical cord, and they took him away. The next time I seen him, he was covered in tubes on a ventilator, and he was unrecognizable. I didn't recognize him. And I started to pray, and I asked God, if you'll heal my baby, I promise you I'll go 100%. Every time I stand to preach your word, I will give it 100%. The healing didn't come the way I expected it to come. He still had to have the open heart surgery. But I can testify and say that I know that God healed his body, because when he should have been on medication, there was no medication needed. When he should have been on an inhaler, there was no inhaler needed. I believe it was probably the third visit that we had to go to the pediatrician, and he walked in, and we had to tote around a thick binder with all these papers of his records, just in case something was to happen. Doctor walked into the room, and the doctor walked out of the room. Doctor walked in the room, the doctor walked out of the room. I told my wife, I said, now he walk in here one more time and walk out, we're gonna have a problem. So he walks in the room, and I say, Doc, what's the problem? He says, I was trying to make sure that this was the right patient. He said, I've never seen a baby go through this procedure and look this good. He said, I just don't understand. And I told him right then and there, I said, there was nobody but God. And from there, I've been giving God the best that I can give, because I made a vow to God, and I tried to be someone of my word. So I thank God for what He's done in my son's life. Right now, he's running around. He's very active. Nothing about him signifies that he had open heart surgery, but the scar that's on his chest.
So you believe in the power that God can change things?
Oh yeah, most definitely, most definitely. I believe that God. Not only do I believe, but I've seen it with my own eyes. It is one thing for you to hear that God is a healer, but until you actually experience God as a healer, it puts you in a whole different category, because now you're not going on hearsay, you're going on what you know for yourself to be real.
Is that the reason that you preach so hard at New Pleasant Grove?
Yes, sir. I told.
And whenever we go different churches, you preach hard. You don't just lay back. You preach hard.
I believe leaving it all, as they say in the sports world, leaving it all on the court. I believe leaving it all on the pulpit.
New Pleasant Grove has had a growth spurt since you've been there. More people have joined the church. More people are coming to the church. This is not anything against Pastor Gamage, but in his last few years, we almost had zero growth. You come in and we have a lot of people join. Is that just a try out, a look at a new pastor, and people come over, and you think it's something that'll last a while?
I think with anything, when anything is new and anything is vibrant, people will come to be nosy, if I may. But I do believe with everything in me that it is a God thing. I believe that God is bringing the people to New Pleasant Grove. I believe that God is, because His words say, "If I be lifted up, He will draw all man unto." So it is not. I don't do ministry for me to be recognized, but I do it for God to be recognized and to be glorified. And so, as long as we stay in the scriptures, I believe that we're going to continue to see the growth. I believe that we're going to see more than what we have seen in this 1 year. I believe that greater is getting ready to come to 795 Menard Street.
Also, in the Bible studies, we used to have about 10, 11 people in Bible study. And now we have, sometime an overflow. A lot of people are coming to Bible study. Why do you think that is going on?
Well, I am one that try to connect. I want to be able to make the Bible fun, if I may, because the pages that we read is not dead. Even though it's been written years ago, the pages that we read are still vibrant. It's still full of life. It's still full of hope. And so, when I teach Bible study, when I preach, I try my best to make that word a living word. That way that you can feel what I feel. And so I think that God is just, the parishioners and myself, I think we're lifting up the name of God, the name of Jesus, and I believe that God is being pleased in the work that we're doing, and the people are being fed and being lifted.
Where do we go from here at New Pleasant Grove?
Where do we go from here? There's no place to go but up. Yes, we continue, as the old folks would say, we keep on climbing Jacob's ladder. We're going up.
And it appears to me, and I've been at New Pleasant Grove a long time, it appears that the choir is singing better. I mean, I listened to them Sunday. They showed up.
Yes.
I mean, at the funeral service, they was there.
Yes.
This is something is going on there, and we have the same Marvin. directing the choir and playing the organ.
Yes.
We got the same Philip. We got the same lead vocalist. But it seems like they are singing better. Could you comment on that? Or you just think that's just something that's just...
It's something.
Or it's in my imagination.
It's something in the water.
Temptation said it's just my imagination. You think you don't know anything about that because you're a preacher. but it's something is there. The singing, something is there that's going on.
We are excited. I believe we are motivated, and it must just be. It's something in the atmosphere. There's a praise in the atmosphere.
And you brought in a new slogan. Love God, love people.
Yes, sir.
Where did that come from?
Well, love God, love people. It comes from the word of God.
We are a church that love God and love people.
Yes, I believe that in order for us to be a growing church, we have to be able to love people right where they are. We cannot just fish for people that look like me and you. But we also, because in that net, we're going to get some people that have dreadlocks, that have bald heads, that have tattoos, that wear three-piece suits, that wear no suits. We have to be able, when we draw in the net, we have to be able to take all the fish and cater to all the fish that's been caught in the net. That's what grows the church. We cannot be a one-sided church. I don't believe in one-sided church. I believe in a church that is going to love God and love people, because at the end of the day, guess what? Jesus loved me and you right where we were.
Appreciate you stopping by.
Yes, sir.
795 Monard Street.
Come meet us there. 1045. We're in service, lifting up the name of Jesus.
Appreciate you stopping by.
Bless you, sir.
And we'll be right back. Good day and welcome back to the Herbert Dennard Show. I have with me Reverend Dr. Henry Clay Ficklin. Welcome.
How you doing? It's always good to be on your show.
I've been watching and reading the news about Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell, Moscow Mitch, I think they call him now. What do you think? Just want to review this. What do you think is in the Republicans' mind?
I think that when Donald Trump started to first push the idea that Barack Obama was not an American citizen, he began to galvanize a lot of hate that he knew existed in the country because he was a part of it, and from his father being a part of the Ku Klux Klan, he knew that there was a lot of hate in the country. And of course, we as black people have always known, we have ridden this idea that we were getting more and more equal, but he decided that he was trying to push that idea, and he could see from declaring that Obama was not a citizen, how many people bought into that. And of course, these were people who had racial kinds of feelings about, superiority, and did not want a black man to be the president of the United States. Once Obama, was re-elected, I think that even further galvanized people's racial animus towards the black and brown people. And Trump knew how to manipulate and take advantage of this. Remember, he used to always call into the New York Times as someone else and say that he was calling for him, but that wasn't him. He's always been a master manipulator. And so when he saw that he could do this and that people would buy into it, he did something which was akin to what Hitler did in Germany back in the 30s. And we are now witnessing all of this. And I don't, he's a man who's had a lot of money, he's born with a silver, as the rituals out in Texas say with a silver foot in his mouth. He's had the advantage of doing all these things. But the thing that really, really gets me is that the Republicans, as you said, who are sitting quietly and not saying anything about this, they fear that they would be attacked if they were to speak out. Some of these Republicans have been good people before, and all of a sudden they are like the cat got their tongue, and they can't speak out. They won't vote. They won't put things on the floor that should be on the floor. We are really in a sad condition in this country. But I think greater than that is the kind of acceptance. I think we are just being so docile about what's going on in our country. Down in Puerto Rico, you see those people out in the street about their governor, and they were out there demonstrating. We used to have that spirit in this country. We used to march. We used to demonstrate. We have just gotten so docile with letting things be. There's no outrage. I am shocked at the lack of outrage. Parents being separated from little toddlers, children who can't even talk, going to court. This is horrible. But we are letting it happen, and there's just no outrage anywhere. Nobody's marching in the street. Nobody's going to the White House saying, you need to stop this. And that used to be what we used to do, me and you. That's what we used to be in the street, talk about with the outrage. And I think that when people don't have outrage, those who are doing these atrocities continue to do them because they think that, I can get away with it.
It's a very depressing situation. I heard the other day that Franklin Graham said that what's her name? The first lady.
Michelle Obama.
Not Michelle Obama.
Melania.
It's the best first lady we ever had. More class than anybody ever been. Did Billy Graham think that way? Most of the time, fathers and sons he might have not been public about it. My thinking is maybe Billy Graham, maybe he deceived us all these years. I mean, I can't imagine Billy Graham set up his son in the ministry and all the crazy things about Trump and Melania Trump and all the things that he backed Trump in. I just wondered, did I misread Billy Graham, or his son just in such an opposite person?
I would hate for us to come to the point where we judge one person by the acts of another, be it son or father or brother. And I really like to think of Billy Graham as being the man of God that he was and standing for what he stood for. What his son does, I don't think take away from his public persona. And we can always have this maybe, but we have to accept him for what he presented to us, and that's why I want to keep that.
I've just watched so many ministers when the civil rights movement was going on and Martin Luther King was marching and writing a letter to Birmingham, going against a lot of the ministers that sent a letter to the press.
Yes.
And they all supported racism, segregation, and all of that. Billy Graham is from North Carolina.
Yeah.
I'm just saying is something happening here in this country. I have people, and I know one or two, for example, that seem to be pretty decent people, and they support Trump.
Well,
have you met some white people that you know support Trump?
Yeah, some supported him initially when he was running, making them. We used to think they were really good people, and they support Trump because you can't hear from them now who had been Democrats all of their public career, and all of a sudden they were Trump supporters.
I saw the Dunwoody's was saying things.
That was who I was speaking of,
right.
Because I was really shocked at that.
And it's a number of people that's for Trump. I think seemed like somehow he reached into them and talked about racism. It's something that they feel in their gut that they support it. They would never ever say anything about Trump.
No, they're not going to go against him. That's certainly.
I mean, I'm just wondering what's going on when you find a lot of. I'm not talking about the real uneducated white men without a high school education, without college, supporting Trump. I find a lot of intelligent, you would call intelligent people supporting it.
I think that in history we go through cycles like that. People who we presume to be above, the average person as far as their thinking and their morals are concerned, but they sit passively by and allow things to happen. This is one of the things that Jesus had to address when he was on earth, of people who allowed things to happen, like the rich man and Lazarus. The rich man didn't really say anything to Lazarus or do anything to Lazarus. He just ignored his existence. And I think that we're going through a situation similar to that. And the people who we thought at one time were one thing, I think that it comes full circle, that, we're back in the historical period that, Germany had all kind of intelligent people who were musicians, and they were in the arts, and they were scientists and what have you, but they sat passively by and allowed Hitler to do what he did. So we have to understand, what happens in history for these kinds of things to happen, and they do happen. We go through those cycles, and it just appears that we are getting ready, if we are not already in a cycle like that, because I cannot imagine anything any worse than separating small children from their parents. This was something that it reminds me of slavery. This is what happened during slavery time. At least they had the cloak of slavery, so they was a slave. But these are people who are coming asking for asylum. They're coming escaping horrible situations in their own country, and they get here and they get their children taken from them.
Locked in cages.
Yeah, locked in cages. And the little boy who testified and said he stood up all night because he couldn't sleep. There wasn't enough room for him to lay down. And when there was room for someone to lay down, they let the younger children lay down. That was horrible. And these are horrible circumstances that we're going through, but there is no outrage.
I don't see the Christians, white Christians.
No.
I don't see them showing empathy.
Well, see, one of the things you said that, when Trump was campaigning, and the evangelicals, they bought into Trump. And Trump was not a religious man. He didn't even know how to read the Bible. He called 2 Corinthians 2 Corinthians, which I thought was, very comical, that the man running for president does not know enough about the book that has been a guiding source in this country for over 200 years, and he doesn't know enough about that book to say 2 Corinthians. You ask yourself, if you remember in 1968 when the Democratic Convention was going on in Chicago, and the lady from Mississippi, and her name is escaping me now, but I'm very familiar with it, Fannie Lou Hamer. She took the mic and she got up and she said, she asked the question, is this America? Well, we have to sleep with our telephones off the hook because we be harassed day and night. And the networks cut her off because she went on with her Is This America speech, because she was asking about all these things. I think that's where we are now. We have to ask ourselves, is this America? Is this the place where our ideals have been high? Is this the place where the Statue of Liberty have welcomed in the hungry and those who are outcast from other countries? Is this America? We have to ask ourselves that. And then we have to ask ourselves, what has happened to the great ideals that our fathers and forefathers fought, black and white, and died for? And here we are at this juncture in our history. It's a sad situation.
It is sad, and it's sad, and it appears like 90% of the black people vote against Trump. They're against Trump. But then I find something surprising. In Mexicans, it's about Hispanics, about like 90% of the black people don't like Trump. and Mexicans it's about 75%, something like that. What's wrong with the Mexicans? I'm almost saying it ought to be 100%, but it seems like the real rejection for as Mexicans are concerned, they are not as high. And a lot of Mexicans and African Americans don't vote the way we should. If they had voted like they should, Hillary would have been president.
But you know, he is the master of divide and conquer, and you know that's what this nation has really profited a lot from, is divide and conquer. When he can say just enough to get a percentage of the Hispanic community on his side, like those who are legitimately here, who came and went through the process, then they don't want to be identified with others who are coming in some other way. And so what they feel themselves as being just a little bit above the others, and they side with Trump. The same thing with black people. You know, we have always had a division in black, you know, they were better, if they lived, had better jobs or what have you, and the poor people were not considered as worth as the other people. So that divide and conquer is still there. He is a master manipulator, and he knows how to do it. And I think that we're just looking at all the evidence of the things he's done. He's divided our country, and then within the various ethnicities within our country, he's divided us too.
Well, we need to do something. I just want to discuss those things with you and to figure where do we go from here. And I think that we should try to go back to what we used to do. We got to turn out people to vote. We got to encourage everybody to vote.
We got to get the conscious level of people up. You know, back when you have demonstrations, having someone speaking out, you raise the conscience of the average people.
Right.
You know, we knew racism was there because back in the day when we would say anything, you know, the newspaper never called a white man racist, but they always called us racist.
Right.
And when we were just trying to get equality, there was anything racist about what we were doing, and they beat us up in the paper. They talked about us. They drew cartoons about us. You know, they drew me one time, and I said, that's a pretty good cartoon, boy. They had me with the muscles and all that. So I said, I like that cartoon.
Well, I appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you so much, and thank you for just bringing up this discussion. We need to have more of it.
All right, and we'll be right back. Good day and welcome back to the Herbert Dennard Show. We have with us Gwendolyn Westbrook.
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
You are the president of the NAACP. How long have you been that?
Well, since 2012. I was elected in 2012, and I'm still serving as the president of the NAACP.
What are some of the things you're doing now?
We're looking at working on healthcare. That's something that we are focusing on, and especially for our people that are not eligible for any type of other assistance. Normally, between the age of 19 and 65, people are not eligible for any health care if they're not disabled or have minor children. So we're looking at that and working on it, making sure that our indigent care is still in place for those that need the health care, that are not able to afford health care.
Some people are having problems getting health care.
They are, and what we're seeing is people. There's programs out there for people that cannot afford health care, but there's a process, and sometimes there's barriers created that enables people in the community to be able to get those those services. So that's where we come in to try to assist and make sure that people are actually getting the benefits that they deserve, or either that are qualified for, that are not actually getting the benefits. So we see a lot of that where barriers were created, and I just know a while back we met with one of the hospitals, and some of the issues that things that the NAACP saw as barriers that kept them from actually receiving the assistance, we make some recommendations as far as their policy, and they did change the policy. And so we've been monitoring that.
Okay, that's good. What about discrimination and things like that? You still work on that?
Yes, sir. We get phone calls every day related to some type of discrimination, whether it's in our education or employment, in our judicial system. It's something that I think in this century we should not be dealing with as much discrimination as we should. People should we should have moved farther along than we have, but some of the same issues, discrimination, disparities, hate crimes, unfortunately those things still exist, and they're more visible now than they were 50 years ago.
Why do you think that is the case?
Well, I think discrimination is a behavior that is taught. We have a different set of generations, and when you find a young person that has that type of behavior, as they see people different because of the color of their skin or because they don't look like them, then they form an opinion that they're different. And you have some people that go as far as to doing things that gets criminal. It's like, for example, a hate crime. So I think people is something that's being taught. We have some of our older generations who still believe in that we, depending on what color your skin is, that you're less than they are, and that they even don't think of us as being human. So I think that is a taught behavior.
What can you do about it? What can we do about it? What can people do about it? Right thinking people.
Well, I think, for example, I say education is the key to everything. I know in the NAACP, with myself as being the president, I try to have a diverse set of people in the organization. Hispanics, Caucasians. So I've had different races on the executive committee because the NAACP, to show that the NAACP is not an organization just for black people. So people, when I say that, and anywhere I go, I try to educate people on the history of the NAACP. And people, you would be amazed of the people that do not know that the organization was organized with a set of people of all different races, not just black people. That the organization was organized by black and white and different other races. Okay. So I think education is the key to discrimination. I don't know if we will ever get rid of discrimination, but I think education is one of the things that we need to work on to get a greater impact on kind of resolving some of the discrimination and disparities and the hate that they have for people because they're different or look different.
When do you meet?
We meet every fourth Monday at 7 o'clock. The executive committee meets at 6 o'clock, and the meeting open to the general public is at 7 o'clock every fourth Monday.
Where?
At 905 Main Street. It's at the Family Investment Center. And so we're there every fourth Monday.
905 Main Street. I'm trying to picture that in my mind.
It's in the East Macon area where the Boys and Girls Club used to be.
Yes.
Near Davis Homes. That's where it is.
Okay, over there where the informer's office is.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So
and when do you meet again?
Every fourth Monday. Every fourth Monday at 7 o'clock there.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad you stopped by. I appreciate the work that you have done.
Yes, sir.
A lot of people don't know you don't get paid.
No, we don't. This is a strictly volunteer.
Right. And some people almost believe that you the NAACP, you got to do this and do this like you're on a payroll or something.
Right. And people really honestly think when we say that, people don't. They're just surprised that we do the volume of work that we do, and we're not getting paid for it. Because, you know, like I said, we don't not only just working with the healthcare, we're working with our judicial system, we're working with housing, anything that deals with disparity, or deals with unfairness and unequal unequal rights or anything. Voting, that's something big that we're working on. So those are different areas that we're working on, just not one actual thing.
You know, my hat's off to you because you put in a lot of work, you put in a lot of hours, your phone is ringing all the time.
Yes, it is.
You're not paid. This is something that you believe in to try to help benefit
Right.
the people in Macon and Middle Georgia.
That's true.
And we just need to support you. And people, if they want to support you, they should join your organization.
Yes, and to join the organization is only $30 a year. We really need people we need your support, but most of all, we need you to come in to work, because there's so much work that needs to be done, and you have members, but you have inactive members. You have active and inactive members, but in order to be proactive in the things that need to be done in the community, we need more people. We need anybody that has the same passion that we have, that I have for the organization. Because if you have passion for something, then you're gonna do your best, and you're gonna. I just feel that when you're passionate about something, then I know what I stand for. So I'm gonna do the right thing and do what needs to be done.
Okay, I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're
And
welcome.
I'm going to have you on again when we can talk longer.
Okay.
But I really appreciate the work that you do.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And we'll be right back next week at the same time.
All made to wonder why it should be us all the day long, when there are others living about us, never molested